Giorgio Barbier. I'm a racing manager for motorcycle tires in Pirelli.
And Fabio?
I'm Fabio Meni, and I work in the research and development in Pirelli, in particular the research in the activity of motor racing compound.
So I would like to start telling that the work we make here, in this championship especially, is a work dedicated to the development of the tires for our clients. So that means we bring here some solution, specification, prototypes that might give us back information that we can transfer on the product we make, first for the people who race all over the world, so from World Championship to local, regional championship, then from this to the sport bikes client. So that is a different approach from what we did, for instance, in 80s in Formula One or in rally or in motorcycle as well. When we started motorcycle in 80s, the point was get some visibility, advertising, and so that means to race against all the competitors, trying to make the best result, putting into these special tires all the more exotic material, costly material you are able to collect from the market, and with just the result to have a good visibility, and good result means visibility. Now, starting from the experience of a World Superbike as a control tire, our target changed completely, and the target is produce good tire for the market. So that means we are not here just with one special solution for Phillip Island, then Imola, and so and so and so, but we create a product that might work good in Phillip Island and then work ahead on the other racetrack all over the world in order at the end of the season collect the information that allow us to improve the range we got on the market. This is the point. On this, we got on the top Phillip Island, because Phillip Island is the most specialized track in the world from our point of view, for simple reasons, because we race here the first race of the year, and that means a lot in terms of riders' preparation. They stop for a long time after the last race. New bikes, new stuff on the bikes to test, a lot of new technical things and feeling to get back to the technician. So the preparation of the bike is not for sure the same that the bike is at the end of the one championship. So everything arrived in this package. Then we got the sunniest place in the world this season, with a higher temperature we can meet really during all the season long, with a circuit that is with two peculiar characteristics. First one is one old-fashioned circuit, if you allow me the terms. I mean, there are not anywhere in the world track without very tight chicanes and short corner in order to make amazing for the show, like Formula One, stop and go.
Like or something.
Yes, like all the new tracks in the world. So fast corner are not so easy to find, and especially fast corner like the 12 we got here. So long time in keeping the same camber or the same lean for the bike. If you add to this a really old tarmac, this is 15 years old more or less, and so use bumpy and smooth tarmac, let's make an incredible mix, very difficult for the tires. So talking about motorcycle tires, the most difficult part here in Phillip Island is to maintain the right grip level between the first lap and the last lap. This is the problem everywhere, you see, but here is huge. Consistency, because you spend a lot of time on the left side of the tire. From the hairpin, you put the first gear and you gear up till the 6th on the side, and you always remain on the left side. That means on the little patch area that is not bigger than a credit card, you put 220 horsepower with incredible torque from the first gear, and the temperature rise with the asphalt very hot like we got today. This mix is horrible because you got on the surface the temperature of the asphalt, the temperature of the torque, and the temperature done by the slip of the tires. And inside you got all the force moved by the inertial work of the carcass and the rising of the pressure because of this. So all these components make this truck very special.
You mentioned the slip. Now, how do you measure the slip?
Let me tell you something first. In research, my point of view of the situation, you have to do always four things. You have to plan an idea, you have to do the idea, you have to test the idea, and then you have to recalculate the idea to make the innovation. It's the only thing you can do if you want to go ahead. But in this case, the race, you cannot test your idea like a normal laboratory, because our laboratory is the truck, and all the condition that you can have is only one little part of a giant cauldron with a big amount of variables. So when you have a laboratory, you have one data out of your machinery. For us, the data that we have is the comment of our others. So these comments came out from different variables. These variables can be the temperature, can be the smoothness of the asphalt, can be the humidity, like you said, and very, very over variable. So, speaking about the slip ring, you have to consider a lot of these variables. But to speak generally, if you have to avoid a slip ring, you need the tire a good improntability in the asphalt. You have you need the tread of your tire soft enough to enter the little asperity of the truck. So the microscopic level. So that and you have to do this because when the tires is anchored in the asphalt, the powers of the motorbike cannot make something slides on the asphalt, but something that have the strength to make the motor goes ahead. If you want to rise the grip on the asphalt, you have to make the compounds more softer and more hysteretic, we said, because the core of the tread needs a certain level of temperatures in which the tread can work correctly, and in which the mechanic grip and the chemic grip can work properly. It's important because it is not only a matter of mechanical grip; it's even chemical grip.
Chemical as well.
Chemical as well.
So it's a molecular bond.
Yeah, for sure. When you imprint, if you see an enlargement of what happens when the tires go on the asphalt and imprint the asperity of the asphalt, you see that what you see with your eyes is nothing less in comparison with this asperity. In Milano we have the electronic microscope that can do these works, can make the enlargement. I don't know how much, but we can show even the asperity of the asphalt. When you when you have a completely improntability of the tire in the asphalt, you see that the surface of contact is not is not the one you see with your eyes, that is only a surface, but is 10,000, 100,000 more, because the tires enter in this cavity and completely fill of this free space. In this free space, when you have contact between the asphalts and the gum of the tire, you have even chemistry bonds. They are weaker, but there are many, so they can bring the grip.
Does that mean that all asphalt has a similar chemistry?
No. But for us, it's impossible to go into the detail of the chemistry of the asphalts. We can work on the tire and we can show how the asphalts is smooth or is severe. But we cannot understand the chemistry of the asphalt. The asphalt is not only one molecular; is 10,000 molecules together, and so it is impossible to understand the correct chemistry. Even the compounds of the tire. It's not only the polymers that is the matrix of the compounds. Have a lot of molecules inside. So we have to understand the generally mechanism at the base, but we cannot go in this detail.
I can give you a funny story about this, because now we take the attitude since 20 years ago to bring our best technician in a racetrack to make experience, because, as Fabio said, it's too easy to work at home with your computer and make some measurement, make recitation, make solution, give a solution, and then say, okay, give me a feedback. They have to come with us, people who make construction, people who make compounds, in order to understand what's happened here, how the rider feel. With this information we can really have. In the 80s, in Formula One, we were used to bring at home some patch of the asphalt to our chemistry, because they could run the little province on this asphalt to understand the asphalt. And so in the night time, we went around for a circuit to have a patch of the asphalt. It was incredible. So now we got different system, unfortunately, so we cannot destroy the circuit all around.
Secretly digging up bits of racetrack. Now, with the variables that you can measure heat, obviously, you can measure abrasion, you can measure the chemical makeup of the asphalt, and you can measure the ambient temperature of the air and also the humidity of the air, because as you said in the email, of course, the air that goes into the tyre from the compressor has a certain level of humidity. How does the humidity in the air inside the tyre affect the tyre?
The air inside the tyre doesn't affect the wearing profile of the tire or of what happens on the surface, because inside of the tire we have particularly compounds that prevents all the air inside to go out. Because if the air inside of the tire goes in the middle compounds, this air can bring an oxidation in these compounds and even on the steel cores, and so we have a lot of problem, like integrity, separation of the thread with all compounds.
And so obviously it's sealed. It's completely sealed.
Completely sealed.
But what about the compression characteristics of the air? Does that vary much in the pressure?
Yes, the question is more related to what really changed in the behavior of the tires as soon as you got in air with more water than less water.
Correct.
Sometimes we use nitrogen just to avoid this, so to have a very dry air. Actually, we got yesterday, just for instance here, we got a very high humidity in the night time, and in the morning we got our filter on the compressor full of water. If this water goes into the tires when you inflate the tires, that creates problem in which term? In terms of a higher capability from the tires to rise the pressure during the use.
Yeah. Yes.
And rising the pressure from inside bring more problem to the grip on the track. That's the point. So that's the reason why the dry air is always better. But again, we have to prepare a product that will go in the hand of people that is not so professional. They haven't got engineers, electronics so sophisticated, man who takes care about the tires and the rim. So we have to be sure that our product is enough strong for this use as well. So that's the reason why at the beginning of a control tire as well, we start with a nitrogen line in order to full up of the tires with the nitrogen. But we can sell this because we would prefer to work on the air that is available all around the world and using this, because we cannot imagine a client who get the bike, go on a racetrack just for a track day and look around for the nitrogen. So we have to comply with the situation.
Yeah, of course. With the track humidity, because everything happens, as you say, Fabio, on a microscopic level on the surface of the track between the rubber and the track, that's where the humidity is in the track.
Yeah.
And you can't measure that at the track. So what are other things that you can't measure but you know about?
For the measure of the humidity, the issue is that it's worthless sometimes to measure the relative humidity, that is the percentage that give you the hygroscope, for example, because that percentage depends on temperature, depends on pressure, depends on a lot of things. So even with 50% of humidity, it doesn't mean that the tire will have more wear. You cannot say that. It depends on a lot of conditions. For example, the humidity can, for example, deposit on the low asperity of the asphalts, reducing the contact area of the tire that supports the asphalts. That reduces the grip, because if you reduce the contact area, you reduce the grips. And if you reduce the grip, you can increment the percentage of slip, and so you can have where
which
of the slip
brings up the temperature and causes more grip.
But even this depends on a lot of variables.
Sorry, George.
There is another interesting phenomenon we can talk about, that is what happens in the morning usually with the cold tearing. The cold tearing is something really a phenomenon that is really interesting, because you can have the same compound in different temperature of asphalt with different really phase after a few laps. So you can have performance or you can lose completely performance. In any case, you have a tire that after a few laps seems destroyed because of a cold tearing.
Because this is another phenomenon that happens in particular with our soft compounds, because to give the grip of a solution, of a compound, you have to use some methods that bring you a higher thermoplasticity of the compounds, which means that with high temperature you have a soft compound. With low temperature the compounds became stiffer than the stiff one, like SC2. With a compound so stiff, if you use in this condition, is completely out of the range of the usual
operation
of the operation, for sure. You add something that is stiff, like wood, that roll on an asphalt, and so this bring abrasion, this bring laceration. It's like less.
Can I interrupt just 1 second?
For sure.
The sound stopped. Can we just rewind and start to talk about the tire temperature and the operation from the start?
The tire?
The temperature and the operating temperature, bringing it up to temperature. What we just said.
I have to repeat it. Okay.
Sorry. Sorry.
Okay. So, well, from the beginning of my So when you use this phenomenon of the cold tearing, that is laceration of the shoulder of the compounds generally, depends on the difference thermoplasticity of these compounds, like SE0 and SE2. The SE0 had for sure more grip than the SE2. It was done for this purpose, and to give this enhanced grip of the SE0, we have to use particular polymer, particular resin that have a thermoplasticity power. So, which means that in hot condition the compound is so very soft, and in the cold condition the compound is stiff. Is stiffer than SE2, which means that you have something that roll on 300 kilometers per hour that is stiff like a wood, or better like a glass, because the fragility of these compounds is similar to the glass.
Really?
In chemistry, this phenomena depends on the glass transition of the polymer, because the entanglements of the polymers became strictly bound together, and they cannot move. So it became fragile and brittle.
Like
This is the
Glass
phenomenon.
tires. Who would have thought?
Yeah.
Low temperature glass tires. This is another interesting features we have to always improve. The capability of one compound, he was speaking about SE0, SE1, SE2, those are our range way to say soft to hard compound. The capability of one compound to cover a higher range of operation with the same tire. So that means the tire works from 10 degrees to 30 degrees, this kind of tarmac, this kind of condition, and so on. More you enlarge this versatility of your tires, more you are successful on the market, because again, if I got my bike and I go a track day, I cannot measure the temperature before, look if the sun is coming or not, see if the temperature range is the right one or not. While if you specialize too much your compounds, you go into this. And we saw sometimes in certain championships that might create problems as soon as the condition change.
It's very rare that we have a situation like we had in the Supersport race last year in Phillip Island.
Not so rare.
Is it not
in
so rare?
Phillip Island? From my experience, there are 3 places where this is really possible due to the special condition you meet. One is here in Phillip Islands for the long time you spend on the single part of the tires. The other one is Monza for motorcycles, because in Monza you got 2 long strides with 1 corner, and your acceleration in a long stride is 1 kilometer more, and you arrive, you got a big braking before to go into the parabolica, and in the big braking the right tires is a lift from the asphalt, but it's still touching the asphalt, but it's scratching the asphalt, it's slipping on the asphalt, so the temperature in the center go hard. Then you go into the corner, you keep it really hot, and then you got another acceleration, and the braking at the end before the variante is where the tire reach in the center the higher temperature again in the braking. So you have to protect the central area of the tire, because then in Monza you got free chicane and free right corner. So the left side of the tire is just used at the end of the last chicane before the stride. And so that means you cannot have a very hard compound for the center and the same compound on the left, because you will crash immediately as soon as you go the first time on the left. So you have to specialize the center of the tire. Then the other place is Daytona, because of the banking. And when you are in the banking, the stress you got on the rear tire is very high. So these are the 3 places where blister phenomenon might be happen for all the producer. Then if you push too much one receptation on one tire in a certain condition, you can find. For sure here in Phillip Island, especially in the last 4 or 5 years, as soon as really the characteristic of the tarmac degrade a lot, that's happened. And it will happen tomorrow as well if the temperature will remain something like that. Yes, it is possible. Then it's all a matter of the riding style, electronic control of the bike, capability to get the right setup on the bike, and the management of the engine that might really help you to find the problem less later than possible.
For example, this question is linked with the one you made before, with regarding the sleep, because here in Phillip Island, in particular on the huge curve, in that where the rider go on the full gas on all the curve, we have a huge amount of sleep. The sleep, for sure, will bring the temperature going high. You saw in particularly milliseconds the temperature of the surface of the tire reach even 300 degrees, for example. This temperature will go down go down rapidly, but it continually stress the inner compounds, the bulk of the compounds, and so the temperature in the bulk goes up. If the temperature of the bulk goes up, you encounter some phenomena like the blister Giorgio said. But if you want to avoid this kind of situation, the only things you can do is give grip of the compounds, because if you give grip, like I said before, you prevent some slippery. But if you give grip, you for sure have a compound that is hotter, because these compounds work with high temperature, and so he transforms the mechanical energy in thermal energy inside of the compound, and so the temperature will go up, and this temperature also can bring blister. And so it's a combination of the two different phenomena that you have to control.
We have a different situation now with, say, electric motorcycles, which is completely different the way the power is put to the ground. It's continuous. It doesn't have pulse, like internal combustion.
We are working already on it. We were the first working on an electric bike. We won the first FIM championship with an Italian team who developed a particular engine, and we are still cooperating with a few manufacturers about this. But for sure, everything about this is quite secret. But for sure, we are working on it.
Today, can you tell us, are they adjusting the electric bike to have a pulse, like internal combustion? To make it behave more like an internal combustion motor?
Well, this is more a matter of electric bike producer. But for sure, we are working on it, because they cannot run a bike as an electric motor, as you say. For sure, that creates the fact that probably someone was a little bit more optimistic about the rapid development of this technology, while it's not. But we wait and see. I mean, the end of our business will be when the car and the bike will not need anymore the tire. But we don't see this happening yet.
Tires are the major reason why a machine performs or not on the racetrack. Because they can build fast, they can build horsepower, they can build handling, but it means nothing without being totally simpatico with the tyres. How much involvement with the manufacturers do you have with their development?
Well, it's a quite big one. For sure, this is more important in the car market. There is a lot of work together with them, because we are more present at this level, and the car manufacturers are more interested in find features into the tires from the rolling resistance point of view, from the noise point of view, performance on wet, mileage, but the scale of the different features change a lot in the time. 20 years ago, Ferrari, Porsche asked for performance. Then they start talking about noise, because of the age of the client rise. Noise and comfort, because they would like to put big rims that are nice to see. But the tires becomes with a low shoulder and more rigid. So in order to save money in making special suspension, they ask us to produce another suspension in the tire. Then the wet performance becomes important. But in motorcycles, this is still primitive, So the noise almost doesn't exist. The look of the tire is more important, because in a bike you can see the tires, in a car it's all closed. So the look of a tread is important more than the noise the tread makes. Wet performance becomes important in the last year, because a lot of people start to use the bike during the season of rain, during the foam on the winter as well. But it's really a different attitude between these kind of clients. So now, as Pirelli in motorcycle, we got the huge image in terms of sport bikes. But we have to work, and we work with manufacturers for all the other super sport tires and that. And for sure, the new markets growing is asking different features again, because you got little bike, you still got roads that are not perfect. So from one, you might say that we go back to certain features needs, so robust product, and doesn't care about the aspect, but it works, it doesn't cost too much, and nothing else. But on the other side, for sure, the machine, the motorcycle that are running in these new markets are quite sophisticated, because they have to produce really little engine, but with strong characteristic and low cost. And this makes a lot of technology inside.
Because it's just the sheer scale.
It's not so easy.
I would love to keep talking. I will have to. I think I'll meet you every year and we'll talk again.
Oh, why not? Why not?
Thank you very, very much, Fabio. Grazie, mille grazie.
Prego.